Want to know what Cli Harris is up to just 13 days before the election?
Yeah.
You handed us this CNN town hall transcript
Mm-hmm.
from Pennsylvania.
Oh, swing state. Talk about pressure.
It's really a fascinating look at how she's
yeah.
trying to win over these voters.
Yeah, undecided voters in a crucial swing state. Like you said, it's not just about what she says, though.
Right.
It's how she says it, you know?
Absolutely.
We see her interacting with, like, real people, grappling with anxieties and hopes.
Yeah.
It's a chance to see if she can connect, like, on a human level.
Right.
Not just policy points.
Right away, she goes after Donald Trump,
Mm-hmm.
paints him as unstable and dangerous.
Yeah.
Even brings up some pretty shocking statements from former Trump officials.
Like John Kelly.
Yeah, saying Trump admired Hitler.
Oh, wow.
And General Milley calling him a fascist.
Wow. This is a classic strategy,
Yeah.
especially this close to the election.
Right.
You know,
Uh-huh.
she's trying to make the case that, this isn't just about policy differences. It's about the soul of America. It's a gamble, though.
Oh, how so?
It could alienate voters who are just tired of the negativity.
Sure. She leans hard into the experience argument,
Yeah.
comparing her time as a prosecutor, attorney general, and vice president
Mm-hmm.
to Trump's, well, lack of experience.
Right. It's like she's saying choose the steady hand, not
Yeah.
the loose cannon.
Exactly.
She's playing on that desire for stability,
Yeah.
competence.
Right.
Especially after, it's been a tumultuous few years.
Right.
But can she convince voters that she's more than just not Trump?
Right.
That's the challenge.
Let's get into some specifics. The economy was, of course, front and center
Yeah.
for voters at the town hall. Harris talks about her middle-class tax cut,
Mm-hmm.
expanding the child tax credit, supporting small businesses. She's very clear that no one making under $400,000 will see a tax increase.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
She avoids saying whether anyone making over $400,000 would see a tax hike.
So-
This isn't an accident.
Oh,
It's calculated to appeal to both
okay.
working-class voters who want relief
Sure.
and wealthier voters wary of tax increases.
So trying to have her cake and eat it too, is that even possible?
That's what we're here to find out.
Hmm.
This tactic taps into like a psychological principle called loss aversion.
Interesting.
People are more motivated by fear of losing something,
Yep.
than by the prospect of gaining something.
Okay.
So by emphasizing what people won't lose, their tax rate if they make under $400,000, she's aiming to create this sense of security,
Right.
minimize potential backlash. Common strategy, it's very effective.
Makes sense. It's like, don't worry, I'm not taking anything from you.
Yeah.
Immigration. Also a hot topic.
Mm-hmm.
Harris tried to strike a balance,
Mm-hmm.
talking about border security and a path to citizenship.
Yeah.
Even mentioned an executive action.
Mm-hmm.
That significantly reduced illegal crossings, she claims.
This is a tightrope for any administration, trying to appease those who want stricter control and those who advocate for a more compassionate approach.
Sure.
Her emphasis on both could be seen as trying to appeal to the broadest possible base.
Okay. She also goes into abortion.
Yeah, always a flashpoint.
Always a flashpoint. Harris is fiercely defensive of abortion rights.
Mm-hmm.
Even suggests she'd be open to reforming the filibuster,
Wow.
which, for those who don't know, is a procedural rule in the Senate that allows a single senator to block a vote in order to codify Roe v. Wade.
This is a significant statement, given, the current political climate.
All right.
Shows how important this issue is to her base and how far she's willing to go to protect those rights.
Yeah. She even brings in a personal element, talking about her work on crimes against women and children.
Absolutely.
Feels like she's trying to connect on an emotional level.
Yeah, not just policy.
Not just policy.
She's making it clear that this is not an abstract political debate. It's deeply personal, rooted in her own experiences.
Okay, so we've got economy, immigration, abortion. What else?
Healthcare, big one. Not surprising.
Makes sense.
Harris talked about expanding access to affordable healthcare,
Yeah.
pointing to achievements like Medicare, being able to negotiate drug prices, capping insulin costs for seniors. And then she drops this. Her plan is to extend those caps to all Americans.
Wow, that's bold, but is it feasible?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
She's definitely playing to the concerns of many Americans who are struggling with rising healthcare costs.
Right.
But she's going to need a very detailed plan to back that up.
It's like she's throwing down a gauntlet,
Yeah.
challenging her opponents to, come up with something better. Then there was the Israel-Palestine conflict.
Yeah, it can be a real minefield.
A minefield. What did Harris have to say?
She called for an end to the war,
Okay.
relief for Palestinians, and a two-state solution. It's a delicate balancing act, because this issue evokes strong emotions.
Yeah.
On both sides.
It feels like she's trying to thread the needle there.
Exactly.
Acknowledging the complexities.
Yeah.
While taking a clear stance.
Exactly. And she's doing it in a way that tries to appeal to both Jewish voters, who are traditionally supportive of Israel, and progressive voters who are, more critical of Israeli policy.
Tough crowd to please. But it sounds like she's trying. Now, it wasn't all policy talk. There were moments when she got personal, like when she talked about the loss of her mother and how she copes with grief.
This is a powerful moment because it shows a different side of her. She's not just a politician. She's a human being who has experienced loss, pain.
Right.
Her willingness to be vulnerable like this could resonate with voters looking for authenticity, empathy in their leaders.
It makes her seem more relatable.
Exactly. And it could be particularly effective in connecting with voters who have experienced similar losses,
Absolutely. Adds another layer to her persona.
Yeah.
Beyond, the policy wonk.
Right.
And the tough prosecutor. And speaking of personal beliefs. There was a question about her faith. She talked about calling her pastor after Biden dropped out.
Oh, wow.
Her daily prayer routine. How her upbringing instilled in her a commitment to service.
Right.
Helping others.
This is interesting because it speaks to a segment of voters who value faith, spirituality in their leaders could be seen as a way of reaching out to those voters.
Yeah.
And showing them that she shares their values.
It's all part of building that image of who she is.
Right.
Beyond just the policy positions.
Right. She's trying to present herself as a whole person. Someone who is not just competent, experienced.
Right.
But also compassionate, relatable, and grounded in her faith.
So far, it seems like she's doing a good job presenting herself as a viable alternative to Trump. But the real test is how she handles the tough questions. The ones that really challenge her positions.
Right.
Are you ready to dive into those?
Absolutely. That's where we'll see what she's made of. So remember, Rob,
Oh, yeah.
the voter who challenged Harris on what he called her flip-flopping.
Right.
On issues like fracking, Medicare for all, and decriminalizing border crossings. He really put her on the spot. Like questioning whether her more moderate stance now was genuine or just politically expedient.
It's a question a lot of voters struggle with, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is this who she really is, or is she just saying what she thinks people want to hear?
Oh.
How did she handle that?
She emphasized that her views have evolved, over time, especially after serving as vice president.
Okay.
Talked about consensus building, being open to new information, but without, abandoning her core values.
Okay, but did Rob seem convinced? I mean, the transcript doesn't say.
Right.
But it is interesting that she keeps circling back to fracking.
Yeah.
Even when the question was broader. It's almost like it's a sore spot they're trying to manage.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is a major fracking state.
Right.
So her past support for banning it, could be a liability.
Yeah.
She's trying to walk a tightrope, reassuring voters that she understands their economic concerns.
Right.
While still, appealing to environmentalists who are worried about the impact.
Tough balancing act. Speaking of tough questions, another voter, Pam.
Yeah.
Really grilled Harris on her slogan about rich people paying their fair share.
Right.
Pam wanted specifics. She's a widow with 2 daughters in college.
Okay.
And she's worried about policies that might, punish success or lead to wealthy people moving their money out of the country.
This gets to the heart of a classic economic debate. How much should the wealthy contribute? Right. Pam's not rich, but she's doing well. And she's worried about policies that might, impact her upward mobility.
Sure.
It's a concern shared by, I think, many voters who aspire to achieve financial success.
So did Harris give her the concrete details she was looking for?
Not really. She talked about how some billionaires pay lower tax rates than working Americans.
Right.
Framing it as like an issue of fairness, but then she pivoted to her middle-class tax cut plan,
Right.
highlighting the benefits for families and small businesses.
It's a clever way to kind of deflect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Appeals to a broader sense of economic justice without spelling out how she would tax the wealthy.
Right.
It leaves us wondering, is it a genuine plan or just a campaign talking point?
That's the question voters have to grapple with. It highlights the tension between lofty campaign promises and the nitty-gritty of policy implementation.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. There was a really interesting moment when a voter asked Harris about her weaknesses and how she'd overcome them. It's a pretty disarming question.
Yeah.
Forcing her to show some self-awareness.
It's a great question because it gets beyond the carefully crafted image.
Right.
Forces her to be a little more human. And her answer is, it's quite revealing, actually.
She admits she doesn't always have the answers right away, saying she values research and input from her team. She even owns up to being a bit of a nerd sometimes.
It's a way of humanizing herself, showing that she's thoughtful, deliberate.
Right.
Even if it means not, always having a snappy comeback ready.
Sure.
In a political landscape where, sound bites and quick takes often dominate, it's refreshing to see a candidate who is willing to admit they don't have all the answers.
It definitely sets her apart from her opponent who, as we've discussed, rarely, if ever, acknowledges making mistakes.
Right.
There's another question that touched on a deeply personal subject.
Yeah.
Grief. Anderson Cooper asked Harris about losing her mother.
15 years ago.
15 years ago, and how she copes with that loss.
This is where we see a different side of Harris. The composed, polished politician gives way to a daughter reflecting on a profound loss. It's a very human moment.
She talked about the enduring nature of grief, remembering loved ones as they lived, not as they died, and the importance of allowing oneself to grieve openly.
A powerful message, especially in a culture that often tries to avoid talking about death and loss.
It's a reminder that even those in the highest positions of power are still human, dealing with the same, joys and sorrows as everyone else. Her willingness to share this part of herself could create a deeper connection with voters who have experienced similar losses.
Absolutely. It adds another layer to her persona,
Right.
beyond the policy wonk and the tough prosecutor.
And speaking of personal beliefs, there was a question about her faith.
Right.
She talked about calling her pastor after Biden dropped out of the race, her daily prayer routine, and how her upbringing instilled in her, this commitment to service, helping others.
This is a strategic move for sure.
Yeah.
Appealing to faith-based voters who might be on the fence.
Right.
But it reinforces that narrative of authenticity.
Right.
She's trying to build, she's not just reciting policy points.
Yeah.
She's sharing her values, her lived experience, inviting voters to see her as a complete person.
Okay, so we've seen how she handles the tough questions. We've gotten a glimpse into her personal life.
Yeah.
But what about her overall strategy
Right.
for winning over those undecided voters in these final days?
Yeah.
What does this town hall tell us about that?
That's where the real insights come in. Let's look closely at how she frames her message, what arguments she leans into, and what she hopes will resonate most with those who are still making up their minds. It's all about persuasion. And this town hall is a masterclass in how it's done. As we dig deeper into this town hall transcript, you start to see a pattern in Harris's approach.
What's that?
She's laser focused on two key things.
Okay.
Drawing a contrast with Trump and emphasizing her ability to, get things done.
Yeah, makes sense. It's a strategy aimed directly at those undecided voters.
Right.
Who might be tired of the chaos.
Yeah, or simply craving a leader they can trust.
Exactly.
What's clever is that it goes beyond, specific policies.
Right.
It taps into a deeper sense of unease, longing that many voters are feeling right now. It's like, let's get back to normalcy,
stability to her government, the function.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like she's selling peace of mind, a break from the constant drama.
Right.
And she does this really well throughout the town hall. Even when answering questions that seem unrelated to Trump.
Yeah.
She finds a way to bring him back in.
It's subtle but effective. She wants to keep the focus on what she sees as the ultimate choice
Right.
facing voters, a return to the turbulence of the Trump years,
Yeah.
or a steady hand at the helm.
Right.
And she uses some strong language.
Yeah, like
Talking about Trump, plotting revenge,
Right.
and creating an enemies list.
wow. Yeah, it's almost like she's trying to trigger a visceral reaction,
Right.
tapping into that fear, anxiety
Yeah.
that many voters still associate with Trump.
Right.
And then she presents herself as the antidote,
Yeah.
the calm, collected leader who will get things done.
Exactly. It's a powerful contrast, especially for those who are, exhausted by the division, the drama.
And she reinforces this by constantly highlighting her pragmatism,
Right.
willingness to compromise.
Mm-hmm.
She talks about working across the aisle, building consensus, finding common ground.
Yeah, it's all part of that common sense approach.
Right, right. She wants to be seen as the adult in the room, the one who can bring people together,
Yeah.
find solutions. Whether she can actually deliver is another question.
Right.
But in the context of this town hall, it's very persuasive.
Absolutely. A message tailored for this audience. Undecided voters
Right.
in a swing state, just days before a crucial election. And it reflects the anxieties, the desires of so many Americans.
At this moment.
Yeah.
So what does all this mean for you
Right.
as you prepare to cast your vote?
Exactly.
This town hall transcript, it offers a glimpse into Cli Harris's strategy for winning over those undecided voters.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen her tackle tough questions, reveal personal vulnerabilities, lay out her vision for the country.
Yeah.
But it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Right. The real decision rests with you.
Yeah.
What stood out to you most?
Yeah, what resonated with you?
Did she address your concerns, or did she leave you with more questions than answers?
As you process everything we've uncovered in this deep dive, consider this. What do you want to see in a leader? What qualities matter most to you in this election? Keep those questions in mind as you navigate these final days of this historic race